Okay, class. So I'm gonna save another week for this project, just because I think we're coming upon Thanksgiving, and I want to give you a bit of time to kind of relax during your holiday, catch up on other classwork. But I want to give this just another week so that we can really sharpen up those different types of layouts that we have, and I think we're very close. So I'm going to start with the first critique, which is Danielle's work. So Danielle, I think you're doing a great job. I think this is very minimal work that you need to do. Um, I think this is nice that we are able to read this right side up, so we can definitely see a lot more clarity in our reading, and we see a nice balance between all four corners of the page. And I think the only thing I still want to see in your layout here is just to make this just a tiny bit more readable. Who needs gender roles when you have just this part? And then sushi rolls is pretty good. Just a tiny bit. It's just reading a little bit too faint right now. Okay, and we still need to fix the upside down type. If there's a way for you to fix that, that would be superb, kind of like what you did over here. But I think your work is gorgeous and you are very close to calling this done. So let's go to the next student. So this is Sean's work. Sean, great work so far with what you've done. I think this is pretty much set. Just be careful how close you're getting to areas like right here. I would say either make the circle a little bit bigger, just be a little bit weary about how close certain areas are getting to other areas of type. So this is nice. I like the space over here um, because we don't really have that much space touching. So it would be nice to just kind of give this a little bit more breathing room. So it seems a little bit tight up here compared to, say, theirs over here, right? So it's just going to be a little bit more particular. That's what I would say would be the only comment and feedback for your connotative. I like where this is going in terms of the denotative. I don't think this is really working in terms of a rotation device where we just took the list and just rotated this. I'm going to post some examples that we can pull inspiration from, but I think we can do a little bit of a better job of how we can interpret this layout over here. And one suggestion would be is to take a look at how you're aligning things to each other. So take a look at where this line is over here with your paragraphs and the directions, and then take a look at those individual lines right here and see how those align as well. And one other way you can kind of look at this is to see where does this piece of information lie. So if it isn't a stacked layout that you're looking at, what happens if we bring this up in a way where we read apple pie just horizontally instead of vertically, and maybe the title is in the middle of the page or at the bottom of the page, and let's just flip this back. I think this is not really helping readability. So once we start to take a look at the title and just bring it up to a horizontal layout where we can read it from left to right, we can start to open up this space a little bit more because I know it's starting to get crowded here. Okay, and you can break this up into two columns. Okay, now we just want to see a little bit more creativity when it comes to how we're going to be applying this type, this type paragraph. Okay. And I think when we start to play around with the text title, be it in the middle of the page or at the bottom, things start to shift up. We can start to see a bit more interest, visual interest around the page. So I hope this helps. Let's move on to Kimberly's work. Good work, Kimberly. I think this is pretty much done. I would say, let's take a look. I think you did a good job with how you have structured your layout really nicely. Okay. Yeah. I'll just say maybe align crust to filling. See if that might give a bit more balance. Okay. And then I think you're pretty much done here. That's the only area I would say that needs some adjusting. Now it's about just going in and looking at the finer details. So this looks good. This looks good. The only thing I would say is to avoid widows like this. So it works with step 1, step 2, but let's not see this with the rest of the paragraph. So let's at least have 3 words, okay? So let's keep it like this, particularly in the center. Like that amount of verbiage is good for a word like that, okay? And just careful with punctuation, period, period over here. Just little details, fine details, okay? Let's move on to Bridget's work. Bridget, I think this looks a lot better. Just taking a look at the structure of your layout seems to make more sense. I like how these areas are aligning to other areas of the title. So I think that's working well to your advantage. I would just be careful with how close you're getting to the type over here, right, to the edge. So that's something that you might want to rework somehow, okay? This can go a little smaller. If you think this is too much space, it can go smaller and just kind of bring this up a little bit more closer to the word chicken, okay? And that way, this will free up some areas right here where you can move this whole area, move like chicken, Japanese, and ingredients, move this over, and that way you can move over this area to align maybe this part, line this paragraph maybe to the ingredients list. So see if that works. That can be something you can work with. Okay, but just careful with how close certain areas are getting to the edge of your page. I think we're struggling a little bit with this layout because we did say no graphic aids, so no shapes and no lines. So one thing for you to think about is see how you've looked at your denotative version and how is it that you can actually take something like this and turn it into a connotative. So one suggestion would be is look at the grid that you've created for yourself and then take a look at the types of fonts that you have created in terms of what title treatments you're doing, and also, you know, see if there's a way for you to use color in this type of layout. So that might be one solution for you to think about. I'd also say, in general, you don't want to use too many fonts, so Hurry Katsu and How to Prepare, that's good, but I would just leave it at 3. That would be the most I would go. So we don't want to go too big with our font selection. And see if this might be some source of inspiration for you, because I think the connotation part is still, it's not working as strong as your denotative. So you can go back and pull from this and see how you can add color and look at how you're using your fonts, and also look if you can rework certain areas. So maybe the ingredients list can go down here and your preparation can go up here and your title can probably start from the bottom instead of from the top. So really think about that and see how you can rework your connotative version. Let's go to the next student. So vanilla cheese, so this is Roger's work. Vanilla cheesecake. Okay, so this is looking a little bit better. What I would like to see is maybe more spacing in between the ingredients, so maybe double space in between the ingredients list over here so we can get a little bit more sense that the ingredients list is a different paragraph than the instructions. Okay, so that's something I would work with. And then this is looking a lot better. I think the fact that we're aligning things like this on the page seems to work better to our advantage. And then I think for ingredients, I'd like to see this align more to the left like everything else right here. Okay, So see if we can work with that. Use a little bit more spacing for your ingredients list, because remember, we're trying to create a different piece of information here that is different than our directions, right? So maybe include also, like you have the title here, ingredients, let's put instructions or directions on top, okay? Right below, I'm sorry, right above step 1. And I think you're missing a pull quote. I'd like to see some kind of a pull quote, maybe around, or some, could be like maybe the best vanilla cheesecake or something. But we did want to see some kind of a pull quote treatment, and definitely want to add that here as well. Okay, let's move on to the next student. So this is Alyssa's work. I think this looks nice as a dark background. This works nicely, and you know, it helps with your concept as well. Mocha iced coffee. Okay. Um, I'm not sure what's going on with this line here. I don't think you need it. If it's just a serif that you're extending, let's kind of keep the serif where it is. But it kind of reads as an L, which I don't think is helping. So let's just get rid of this line, and I think you should be done, right? I would like to see maybe some kind of a pull quote, perhaps. Um, just somewhere here or maybe on top, like some title treatment of sorts, just so that we can give this a bit more typographic variety, and maybe label ingredients and put instructions on the top over here, and I think you should be good to go. This is looking a lot cleaner, and you can definitely see a bit more space around it, which is nice, and so the area just breathes a little bit more. Again, I would also add the pull quote somewhere, add maybe the title, ingredients, and then your instructions, and maybe add a numbering system, okay? Because right now it looks like a text block, which I know you're trying to achieve, but let's go like at least, you know, number 1, number 2, so that your viewer can still read this easily, okay? I hope this helps. You're definitely on your way to creating a much better version for both of them. You're very close, so yeah, let's see the next and final version for this group, and then we will move on to something else within the next week or so.